Okay. Hello, everyone. Sorry, I always have to readjust my camera at the start because of all the clients I'm doing with the camera all week. It's not always in the same position. Anyway, hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Garrett Smith. I am the nutrition detective, still working on my lighting, I guess. Anyway, if the lighting bothers you, then you're missing the whole message of what I'm doing. So getting into it today, I see there's tons of questions, which is awesome. Just so you guys know, I'm going to be enabling the super chats since we only have an hour here. For those of you who really want to get your questions answered, you can get to the top of the line with super chats, just not today. So I'll still be going in order of the questions today. For those of you who don't know me, I am Dr. Garrett Smith, also known as the nutrition detective around these YouTube parts. And what we're doing here is we are dismantling the lies and untruths that we've all been told and sold by the people who own both mainstream conventional and mainstream alternative health advice, nutrition advice, the people who are sponsoring all of this. It's not always good people. There can be good evidence out there, but it's hard to find. And to be blunt, most people are not able to decipher what the truth is. And many people are out there just selling things that eventually make you sicker, which makes you buy more of the things, which makes you sicker, which makes you buy more of the things. You guys ever been put on like, 5 supplements, and then you go back to that practitioner and they put you on 8 supplements, and then you go back to that practitioner and they put you on 10 supplements. I'm going to tell you that anything you're doing where you are constantly adding new things, you're getting worse. They're making you worse. This should just be, as Dave Ramsey says, it's just math, right? If you were getting better, you should eventually need fewer things, not more things. So, man, I really messed up my lights this morning. That sucks. Anyway, we'll get back to it. We'll figure it out. So, first, I wanted to go over bile and septic shock, a quick paper on bile and septic shock. Now, for those of you who are new here, because we're getting more new people every day, and I wanted to thank all of you for sharing this and sending it to people so we can spread the word. Please keep doing that. Please do the whole liking and subscribing and sharing and all of that stuff, because this doesn't grow without you guys doing it. This is very non-mainstream. And if you guys don't share it, it doesn't go anywhere. So please help where you can. So I talk on this channel a lot about how bile in your blood, which is also known in the field as liver injury or cholestasis or subclinical cholestasis. So if you go to your doctor and you go, I saw this guy on the internet, he said I have cholestasis, and your doctor goes, you don't have that. The other term that's very important here is subclinical cholestasis, which means it's below their ability to find it, but the symptoms are still there. We have a paper, I believe, it's a paper called "Is Cholestasis Normal in Pregnancy?" Let me see if I can find that for you guys. I wasn't planning on going over this one, so I didn't have it ready. Oh, sorry, I said the title of the study wrong. Is normal pregnancy cholestatic? Let's put that here. Final line of the abstract. It is concluded that normal pregnancy is associated with mild subclinical cholestasis. So what that means is it is considered normal these days for pregnant women to be leaking bile, toxic bile, into their blood. It's normal. Now, when we start to look at the statistics on jaundice in newborns, if you didn't know, 2006 studies in 2006 showed that 60% of kids these days are being born with some level of jaundice, which means the babies are cholestatic too. They are leaking bile into your blood because jaundice is bilirubin accumulating in your skin. Bilirubin is bilirubin. It means the baby has cholestasis. So if we say that normal pregnancy is cholestatic and baby 60% or more, because I talked to a woman who sold medical nutrition stuff to like neonatal ICUs, so newborn intensive care units. She was selling medical nutrition, like parenteral nutrition, that stuff to them. And I asked her, because we got into talking about what I like to talk about, which is this. And I said, how much jaundice is going on these days? And she's like, oh, you don't even want to know. So it's probably worse than 60%. If you were born with jaundice, if you go and ask your parents, if you don't know, if you were born with jaundice, you were born with a liver issue. You've had it your entire life. And then the various things you've done in your life have likely made this worse. Some of the things that made you feel better for a short period of time may have made you worse overall. That's the whole basis of pharmaceutical medicine, right? You take a little medicine, it makes you feel better for a little while, and it makes you worse over time. This is the basis of pharmaceutical medicine. So when people go, well, why do I take copper in the short term and I feel better? How can that be bad? It's a mineral. And I go, oh yeah, toxic metals can make you feel better too. And then long term, they cause you more problems. Copper causes cholestasis and liver injury. It's in the literature. It's not hard to find. Same with manganese. Same with aluminum. All sorts of things. So anyway, let's go into this paper, circulating bile acids predict outcome in critically ill patients. Oh, I didn't, let me just back up 1 second. So cholestasis, what does it mean? Real quick, it means you are leaking bile, toxic bile, into your blood. Your bile is the most toxic fluid in your body by definition. That is how your body would love to get rid of poisons. Your liver concentrates poisons in your bile so that normally what should happen is you put the bile into your intestines. You want it to stay in your intestines. So if you have leaky gut, it doesn't. It gets back into your blood that way. You can leak the bile into your blood through the liver cells or the liver bile ducts, the little teeny tiny bile ducts. You can leak it into your blood via the big bile ducts, like gallbladder area, the common bile duct, that stuff. And acute pancreatitis is bile touching your pancreas because you have a bile duct that connects to your pancreas. And the toxic bile will cause leaky gut where you can then reabsorb the bile into your blood. So those are the ways that bile can get back into your blood when you have a problem with cholestasis, which if you are here and you have a chronic health issue, you are guaranteed to have some amount of cholestasis, whether your doctors can find it or not, because they wouldn't know the first thing about finding it. So then, bile getting into your blood goes everywhere in your body and can then cause you problems anywhere in your body. That is what cholestasis is. This is what we're talking about. This is the root of all chronic disease. Now, what we're going to go over right now is how bile, when it comes out too fast, it can kill you. That's pretty serious, right? Now, what if you were to remember the papers? Let's see. This is a very important paper to read. It is by Anthony Motson about how the C virus causes excessive bile dumping into the blood, and that bile contains vitamin A, and all the symptoms of the C virus can directly in the research be linked to vitamin A retinoic acid in your blood. And it has been in the past. You do know that giving people retinoic acid in the past could cause for chemotherapy. Oh, you want to take something that is chemotherapy. Oh, that's brilliant. So chemotherapy would cause a cytokine storm. You ever heard that talked about in terms of viral issues? Cytokine storms? They used to call it retinoic acid syndrome too. Anyway, so we have the paper from Anthony Motson about how the C virus is related to excess bile dumping that's going into your blood, cholestasis, and too much vitamin A in the form of retinoic acid in your blood. Wow. Okay. Maybe whatever this C virus is, if it were capable of killing people, which when we talk about influenza, oh wait, let me get Anthony Motson's paper on how influenza is bile dumping into your blood. Let me find that one. Got to go into my Slack. Now what I'm doing, I'm going into my Slack, which is my private database of research. what is it? It's refreshing in the middle of me typing? That's brilliant. Anyway. Let me find that one. Go. Come on now. I know I have this one. It's so hard to find this influenza paper if you don't have the direct link. And then I put in here that I couldn't find it on the normal search. Anyway, we'll come back to that. Anyway, so just so you know, standard modern virus theory, I don't buy it. So anybody who wants to argue about viruses don't exist, that doesn't help the people who are sick. Okay, so everybody who's out there on Facebook and everywhere else going, viruses don't exist. Okay, then what about the people who are getting sick, and how do you fix them from being sick? Because you yelling out there that the viruses don't exist is not advancing the narrative at all. Just like people arguing about whether the world is a globe or whether it's flat. How does that change my daily life? It doesn't change my daily life at all. So all of you out there screaming that viruses don't exist, you're not helping. Because then everybody's just wondering, why are people sick then? Because I got sick. The person saying I got sick, I did get whatever this thing is. Other people have it. You can see them get sick. So then if you say that this doesn't exist, you're not getting anywhere with them. Okay? Do I think that modern virus theory is BS? Absolutely. But what does it do to advance the narrative, me going out and screaming from the rooftops? What we call viruses are massive bile dumps from the liver, some of which is going into your bloodstream. Now let's see how intense this can get in terms of killing a person via something called sepsis or septic shock. I don't remember if I posted this paper. Let me put it in here. I don't think I did. So we'll post it again. If I posted it twice, hey, deal with it. Here's the paper. Circulating bile acids predict outcome in critically ill patients. So let me read that again. Circulating bile acids in your blood, predict the outcome, whether things are going to go good or bad, in critically ill patients. They're already very, very sick. I'm going to tell you they already had too much bile in their blood. That's why they were very, very sick. So let me read this quote from the paper. Results. Total serum bile acids were three times higher in septic than cardiogenic shock patients, and 6-fold higher than in post-surgical patients or controls. Elevated bile acid levels correlated with severity of illness, renal dysfunction, that's your kidneys, and inflammation. Total bile acids predicted 28-day mortality, or whether they would die or not, independently of sex, age, serum bilirubin, and severity of illness. Best prediction of mortality of total bile acids was seen in patients suffering from septic shock. Conclusions. Individual and total bile acids are elevated by various degrees in different shock conditions. Bile acids represent an early predictor of short-term survival in a mixed cohort of intensive care unit patients and may serve as a marker for early risk stratification in critically ill patients. That means they should be able to tell how bad you're going to get by your serum bile acids. So what we're talking about here is toxic bile can kill you. What do I constantly say on this channel about undergoing this process? Some of you out there have read a bit on vitamin A detox from other websites, and you think that you've got my up-to-date stuff because I made some food lists like almost 4 years ago now. And we are so far ahead of this. If you're not in the Love Your Liver network, you aren't anywhere near up to date on this. And if you're trying to go out just because you get some tips on this on your own, like you watch me here, and you think you're going to get what you need for free, you're going to go out and you're going to mess yourself up bad. The 4 words I repeat. This is not a game. 5 words. 5 words. I counted wrong. Oops. Sorry, this is not a game. And there's another saying that I love, which is, if you're gonna be dumb, you better be tough. People in my network understand this, because one of the things my clients love to say to me, and I love to hear it, is they say, you're the first doctor who's told me what would probably happen if I do this and if I do this. And you told me what could happen and what might happen, and then it did. You have all these other doctors who give you, let's say, medications or supplements, and they just say, oh, you're going to feel better, you're going to feel better, you're going to feel better. And then you feel worse for a year straight, and you're constantly getting worse. And they say, oh, you're just detoxing, that'll stop eventually. Just keep taking it. As opposed to me, who says the saying, doc, it hurts when I do this. And I say, well, don't do that. Stop doing that. Let's look at what's going on. And when I do with my consulting clients, when I give them access to me on a Zoom meeting, group Zoom meetings twice a week, my active clients who are doing the testing with me, and we do the consult at the start, and then we do the follow-ups, which is twice a week. I'm available in a morning and an afternoon for people to come and do troubleshooting, because one consult in 4 to 6 months and just letting people run off on their own is not care, in my opinion. We need to, this is not a game. People need help. So now, on that note, real quick before I get into the questions, I wanted to go over a testimonial that a lovely woman sent me this week. Here we go. Quote, needless to say, I am a huge fan of Dr. Smith and his work. I began his program around Thanksgiving of 2020. So let's do the math there. That is about 15 months ago. I have a long list of mistakes that eventually led to my hair falling out. I have had other struggles as well, like eczema, but nothing really motivated me enough until that happened. I have been on the birth control pill, causes cholestasis, copper IUD, causes cholestasis, ketoconazole, cholestasis, countless antibiotics, cholestasis, and pharmaceuticals, cholestasis, the keto diet, cholestasis, the repeat diet, cholestasis, and the ultimate thing that led to my demise, liver capsules, cholestasis. So I added all those cholestasis there. She wasn't saying that. I'm going to tell, she knows now. I'm taking an aside here. This woman knows from what I have written and the research I have presented, all the things in her history that led to her getting to this point. She's paying great attention, and she is reaping the rewards. So let's continue. Throughout my life, I've had severe anxiety and depression, dandruff and scalp buildup, joint stiffness, hair loss, weight issues, terrible sugar and chocolate cravings, eczema, ingrown nails, etc. Since working with Dr. Smith, these have pretty much all vanished unless I push too hard with my detox. An aside, this is not a game. Continuing, he not only identified my copper toxicity, but he has helped provide me the tools to fight it and lower it immensely. I finally feel in control of my emotions and know for a fact that I am finally feeling. Okay, an aside. Not feeling your emotions very well is called anhedonia. It's a known side effect of Accutane, which is which if you listen to the main science on vitamin A, they would say 13-cis retinoic acid and 9-all-trans retinoic acid are essential forms of vitamin A. They're actually what causes the activity of vitamin A. And 13-cis retinoic acid is well known to cause anhedonia, or an inability to feel, suicides, and a complete loss of libido and sexual function. So, for those of you out there who are wondering if vitamin A is still good for you, go ahead. I mean, you're going to learn sooner or later. You can learn earlier, you can learn now. So here we go. Where was I? I always thought anxiety was something I was just born with and had to learn how to handle, but working with him has made me realize firsthand the toxic world we live in and how that has corrupted my thoughts. That in and of itself is a huge realization and brings so much peace and confidence. My son, who has autism, who has been following his guidance, and we have seen a vast improvement in his speech and communication. He's been able to carry on full conversations with us, and he was never able to before. My daughter is a toddler and very quick to anger, but on the days we stick with Dr. Smith's suggested supplements, yes, I do work with kids, she's my sweet angel. My husband, who has been skeptical of anything other than modern medicine, has been taking zinc and lactoferrin and barely gets sick anymore. He had a really bad case of eczema on his leg that completely disappeared and is also lowering his blood pressure. I cannot recommend Dr. Smith and his guidance enough. Knowing him has been life-changing and I will forever be thankful. Thank you, Dr. Smith. End quote. So let me just cover a couple things on that. What I am doing here and what we are doing in the network with the 800 plus people who are very willing to help others. Think of the Love Your Liver network, and some of you out there may, who are in there will really understand this. The Love Your Liver network is like Facebook without all the BS and all the negativity. That's really what it's like. It's like a social network that is being used for the purpose that it was designed to, because we have 800 plus people on the same path and who are interested in helping themselves, helping each other, helping uncover the lies that we've been all told. There's people in there who have done research, like David. I won't say his full name in the future unless he wants me to, who are uncovering all of the ties between the elite and the phony nutrition you've been sold. Especially whenever you hear the word vitamin, you should immediately be very suspect. Most of the vitamin research, vitamins forever were made by the pharmaceutical companies. All the supplements were made by the pharmaceutical companies. And then people will say, well, what about vitamins in foods? And I always come back to this, and I see that the funny thing is that the highest vitamin levels in foods, vitamin levels, are nearly always in the most vitamin A toxic and other toxic plant foods. Why would vitamins be high in the more toxic foods, in my opinion? Because the plant needs to protect themselves against the poisons too. Weird coinky-dink. So what I wanted to get to is I don't believe I'm trying to remember if I worked with this woman's child who has autism. I don't think I did. I think I worked with her daughter, and I gave her daughter a couple of, what I do with kids who can't take pills is I use drops. I use mostly mineral drops and the lactoferrin, nutrition detective lactoferrin. I see it on the back there. You know. Anyway, that can be dissolved in water. How do I give mine lactoferrin to my kids? I dissolve it in water. It takes about a half hour to dissolve. You don't have to sit there and stir it the whole time. You just let it sit. You put the water in, let the lactoferrin sit on top. You open up the capsule, however much you're going to give them, which I have very specific instructions. The link to the specific instructions is on the back of the bottle. It's on the instruction section of the bottle. Read it, use it. If you go home and you start on a whole capsule just because, let's say, laziness, or the whole, like, if you heard me say earlier, if you're going to be dumb, you better be tough. You taking a whole capsule, this is the most potent stuff out there in terms of fixing the whole liver and gallbladder thing. But if you take too much at once, you could feel totally awful. So does that mean we should never take it again? No, you should follow the instructions and take less. Which is why we sell those little teeny fractional teaspoons so people can measure it and take the right amount. So anyway, with kids, I dissolve it in water. And then because I do believe the lactoferrin is so important to take for kids, with my kids, I let them add a bit of juice to it. So it's water and lactoferrin and juice. And then the other minerals, depending upon what they're testing with. So I want you to hear this. I did not go into this with this woman treating anxiety and eczema and all of these conditions. I didn't go into it with her kids treating anger and treating autism. I don't treat, if people come to me and they say, what's your protocol for eczema? And I say, I don't have a protocol for eczema. We stop people putting the poisons in their body, the general poisons, which are poisons to all humans. We help them get rid of the poisons that are already stored in them. A good general rule is if you, this is not always true, but a good general rule is if you store something in your liver, it's probably toxic. Don't think the things you store in your liver are things like your body's storing them away for a later date. No. Your body's pulling them out of your blood and storing them because if too much of them were in your blood, it would kill you. You mean like bile acids, Dr. Smith? Yeah. Okay. Avoid the toxins. Get the stored toxins out. Give the body what it needs, mineral-wise especially, to protect itself and to get rid of more poisons. Lactoferrin specifically helps, well, what does the research say lactoferrin can do? It can get rid of free copper, help reduce copper toxicity. It can help balance out your iron metabolism. It's been shown in studies to help with iron overload and iron deficiency. What do you think it's helping then? Oh, it's helping the liver. It has been shown to increase the repair of the bile ducts. So you got bile ducts in your liver, you got bile ducts outside your liver. It's been shown to be anti-pathogenic or to reduce the numbers of things like viruses and bacteria. It's been shown to destroy biofilms. It's been shown to normalize the gut biome. Wow, that's crazy, right? And I have research on all of this. Go Google or go on PubMed, pubmed.gov, and you should know that just because a study is listed on pubmed.gov and pubmed.gov is run by the National Institutes of Health, the NIH, that does not mean the NIH sponsored any of these studies. Let me explain this really quick. When you go to the library and you look at all the books on the shelves, nobody looks at all the books on the shelves and goes, these were all written by the same group. They're all funded by the same group. No, there's different publishers, there's different authors, there's all sorts of different things behind it. Just there are too many people out there who have been misled. They're too skeptical that just because they see a study, an abstract of a study on PubMed, and PubMed is run by the National Institutes of Health, they think that the NIH funded that study. No, not just, could they have? Sure. But PubMed tries to list all the studies that it can out of all the journals that it deems suitable to put up there. Just because a book is in the library doesn't mean it's by doesn't mean the library funded that book. It means they bought a book. Just because a study is on the pubmed.gov website doesn't mean the NIH did anything to fund it at all. They're listing it as like the search engine at a library. That's what it's doing. So this is a really important understanding to have. So now we get to questions. Now that I've spent half an hour going over all that stuff, I hope you guys see how serious this bile acid issue is. It can kill you. So for those of you out there who are on the program and hearing me say this again, if you're feeling bad, you're pushing things too hard. These are poisons on the way in, and they are poisons on the way out. We have decades of toxicity in our livers and stored. If people have fatty liver, you want to know what fatty liver really is? Fatty liver is stored bile in your liver. That's what it really is. So if you start undoing your fatty liver too quick, you could feel bad. Doc, it hurts when I do this. Then don't do that. Going out in the sun, for those of you who have gone out in the sun too long or too intense heat and you felt worse. I know a lady who took too hot a shower and she almost fainted afterwards. What did that do? Well, what if I tell you sunlight dumps bile and heat will cause you to dump bile? And these people were really toxic and really sick, which means they have really toxic bile and they dump it too fast and they feel worse. But I thought sunlight was good for you. Okay, exercise is good for you too, but if you have a broken ankle, you're not going to go run on it. We have to take each person as they are, and this is why the individual, like what I call office hours, where I get to talk to my clients twice a week, can be super helpful for the people who are really sick, to get them out of it, or to sometimes just knock some sense into people of going, you just need to slow down. You're going too fast. So, the questions. Fully Human asks if drying foods decreases the retinol. I'm going to stop there. It doesn't decrease the retinol. It decreases it breaks down some of the carotenoids. It oxidizes some of the carotenoids. Oxidation. Let's just hit on that real quick. What is the mainstream? What is both mainstream, conventional nutrition, and alternative nutrition, mainstream alternative nutrition push on us? Antioxidants. What if I were to tell you that the breakdown of ethanol which is alcohol, to acetaldehyde, to acetic acid, to getting it out of your body, to breaking it down further and getting it out of your body, is run by oxidation? What if I were to tell you that methanol, which is in lots of foods, especially it's out there, methanol turns into formaldehyde. Formaldehyde turns into formic acid. That is a process of oxidation. This is how the body gets rid of these things. Retinol, vitamin A, carotenoids, provitamin A carotenoids, to retinaldehyde, to retinol, to retinoic acid, is a process of oxidation. What if I were to tell you that bile acids, go look up bile acids and oxidation. Oh, that's how we can break down bile acids too. Wow, we break down all of these things through oxidation. Doc, what do you think happens when we take too many antioxidants from outside? Do you think we shut down our oxidative pathways that are the main ways we detox things? Yes. You've been duped. The antioxidant theory of health, even in the literature now, they say it's basically garbage and useless. And people say, but this cell study showed that the antioxidants were good. You know what? I trust cell studies about as far as you can throw them. And they said, oh, they gave these to these people and this got better. Here's the thing about giving certain things to people. People's diets are freaking awful. So let's say you change someone's diet in a way that makes it a little less awful. And they do better. Does that mean that that thing is good for you? No. It means that you made their situation a little less bad. That doesn't mean it's good. And as anybody knows, let's just do an example with exercise. When you start exercising, you feel horrible. You feel sore. I'm talking about somebody who's not like fibromyalgia or like, that stuff where exercise wrecks them. Oh, what does exercise cause, Dr. Smith? A bile dump. Oh, this could be why some people feel like hot garbage after they work out, or they can't work out. They could barely go for a walk without flaring up all their stuff. That's super toxic. And so should they go and exercise? Maybe not yet. Maybe we need to get them less toxic before they do that. We are meeting each person where they are, because never in the history of the world have so many people been so toxic. And they're doing it. Just think about the antioxidants, people trying to eat brightly colored foods and take synthetically produced supplement antioxidants. Just because the word antioxidant is there, they go, oh, this must be good. Because they've been fed 20 years of this antioxidant theory garbage that is not true. So people are poisoning themselves now. High fat diets, high fructose diets, low protein diets. That's how you can induce cholestasis in lab rats. Give them any one of those, and you can induce cholestasis. So anyway, are dried herbs like thyme and oregano okay to eat on the low vitamin A program? The reason people add herbs to their food is because they smell. Because the sense of smell is 90% of our sense of taste. I'm going to say this many, many times over the course of the years. Nature marks poisonous things with, it's called aposematism, A-P-O-S-E. Let me go find my article. Let me get to my blog forum, as I used to call it, the research forum. Let's find the article on aposematism. Now, this article, I wrote it about colors and how nature marks poisonous foods and poisonous animals with either very bright colors or very strong colors. So if you think of like a black mamba or an eggplant, right? Those aren't what we call bright colors, but they're very strong colors. Nature marks poisonous things, or things that want to fake like they're poisonous, with very bright colors and very strong colors. What else does it mark them with? Bitter tastes. Now think twice about your coffee and your cocoa. And then people go, but those aren't bitter. And that's because you put in a bunch of sugar and creamers to mask the bitter taste. How many people hate black coffee? How many people hate 100% dark chocolate? It's disgusting. Think about if you gave it to a child, what would the child do? They would spit it out. They would not trust you to give them stuff after that because they'd be like, that is awful. But yet we're told that coffee can be healthy and chocolate is good for you. Why do people become addicted to chocolate? Did we become addicted to healthy things? Not really. Like, I love exercise. I love exercise. If somebody took away my exercise for a week, immediately, could I handle it? Sure. Am I going to have withdrawals? No. I'm not addicted to exercise. I'm not addicted to meat. I love red meat. If I had to eat chicken for a week, am I going to die because I didn't get red meat? No. So things that we are good for us, that we feel good doing, are not addictions. Things where, like, all of a sudden, especially you ladies, you don't get your chocolate for a while and you're like, I need my chocolate. Oh my God, I can't have my chocolate. Okay, some guys have this too. That's an addiction. That's a drug. That's a poison. What does nature put into its brightly colored fruits? Possibly to help mask the flavor of poison, bitter poison. Oh, that'd be sugar. I'm not saying all fruits are bad, but I'm saying if you're going out and, oh, let's eat mangoes and papayas and melons and oranges, like the studies in China that I posted before about how eating fresh oranges, raw oranges, was connected. The more people ate, the more fatty liver they had. So weird. Nature also marks poisonous foods with strong smells. So if you are putting herbs in your foods for the smell, which is what gives them their taste, you're willingly putting nature's poison in your food. And what people find as they do the vitamin A kind of detox, the Love Your Liver program, because see, like the people who are out there doing the vitamin A detox stuff, just vitamin A, they don't get this information because this is the type of stuff that's in the Love Your Liver program that's looking at the whole thing about the liver, not just vitamin A. Vitamin A was the beginning. That's like baby steps. We have branched out and we are looking at all the angles. One of the things I'm good at is looking at all the angles on something. How can we improve this in every way? And this is actually, we can become victims of our own success because we become so good at fixing the liver that we can have it dump the garbage too fast. Victims of our own success. So, what we find people who do the detox for long enough is they just start moving towards just salt. They find that they don't need all these herbs that they used to put on everything. When people were more toxic, why did they want more things like herbs and garlic and smelly foods? Another one of my sayings, poison begets poison. The more poisons you are taking in, the more poisons you want. Easiest example of this is, what do people want to do as soon as they start drinking alcohol? They want to eat crap food. They want to smoke dope. They want to do other drugs. They want to do all sorts of things that are bad for them. Poisons beget poisons. Why is it so hard for a lot of people to quit sugar? Because they're so toxic that their body keeps asking them for sugar. When people stop, let's say, smoking, what do they want to do instead? They want to eat a bunch of sugary stuff and eat a bunch of garbage and do other things to drug themselves so they can quit one drug, because they're still poisonous and they want more poisons. So as we tend to get people cleaner, they don't want all these poisons. So that's that. So can you put some herbs and spices and stuff? Well, spices are generally not going to be a good thing. Spices are ground up things. Herbs, if you're going to use them once in a while, probably not a big deal. But if you're cooking with them all the time, you're just putting, like cumin, that's a spice, but what gives cumin its flavor? Cuminaldehyde. Go look it up. Cuminaldehyde. Vanilla, or vanilla, the compound in vanilla, which is vanillin. What is that? Vanilla aldehyde or vanillaldehyde. Cinnamon. Did you know that cinnamon can be up to 95% cinnamaldehyde? Yeah. So highly seasoning your food. And what is going on YouTube all the time? What is YouTube pushing a lot of? Tons of flavorings, whether it's herbs or spices or otherwise, tons of fat and tons of sugar. Isn't that how people become popular on YouTube and TikTok with their cooking videos? They just add more fats, more sugars, and more herbs and spices. You've been duped. All of you, all of us. I say that you've been duped. I mean, when I say that, I mean all of us. So, vitamin A is not everything. Free Michigan says, what causes frequent urination both during the day and at night? I've been checked by my doctor and I don't have an infection. There can be lots of reasons, but imagine this. You remember in the bile acids study, where was it? Elevated bile acid levels correlated with severity of illness, renal dysfunction, that's the kidneys, and inflammation. Okay, renal dysfunction. So what does that, so I don't know if you know this, but when you have cholestasis, which anyone with chronic issues does, you start getting bile into your blood. Okay, where can the bile go from there? How could your body try to get rid of it? It can push it out through the kidneys. That's the second level detox. Kidneys are the second level detox. Liver's first, liver to the bile. Kidneys are the second level. When you can't get rid of it fast enough through the kidneys, where does it go then? To your skin. Okay, so we're going to leave the skin alone for now. Kidneys. So, wow, when they dumped a ton of bile acids and they were going towards shock, they got kidney dysfunction because the bile acids were hitting their kidneys now. So do you think some of those bile acids made it through into their urine? Right? Isn't that what the kidneys are trying to do, is process out the bile? Do you think those bile acids, if they made it into your bladder, would be irritating? Do you think your body would then, your body being smart, would say, can we get rid of this pee already? This hurts. I don't want to have this pee in me. This doesn't feel good. So every time you start putting urine in your bladder, once there's enough of it there, which may not be very much, your body's going, okay, let's go pee. 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 I have poison in me. Get it out of the bladder. Otherwise, it will irritate it and cause, I don't know, cystitis, like an irritation in the bladder. So That is most likely. I mean, there can be the blood sugar stuff. Oh, but we went over this a couple weeks ago. Diabetics had 2 times the amount of bile in their blood of normal people. Oh, you mean there's urine issues in diabetes? Let me just do a quick one. Let me go see if in diabetes insipidus there's bile issues. Let me look at this. We may have found something. Okay, I think we can use this. I think this will make enough sense. So here, I'm going to put this paper, put the link here. Okay. Wait a second. Let me just read this a little more. Wait, that's not the one I wanted. Remember, I'm just finding this as we go. So here's the one we'll put. Diabetes insipidus. So diabetes insipidus definitely has a lot of frequent clear urination. And remember about animals, if you see an animal peeing clear, like a dog or a cat or a horse, any veterinarian would say you have a sick animal. They don't pee clear if they're allowed to drink as they want to. So by the time an animal is peeing clear, it's sick. So here we go. This doesn't have an abstract, but I'm going to go by the title. Diabetes insipidus syndrome in bile duct adenocarcinoma metastasis to the hypophysis. So diabetes insipidus, there's a bile duct cancer. Now, for those of you who I haven't gone into cancer too much, but cancer and bile are extremely intimately connected. And then if you go in the research and you start looking up lactoferrin in cancer, you'll find that lactoferrin seems to have very, very good results in cancer stuff. Why would that be? Because lactoferrin fixes the bile ducts and keeps the bile in the bile pathway, as I call it. So the very same thing that would cause the bile duct carcinoma would be the same thing that would then be affecting your brain. And then we see the diabetes insipidus. So it's all connected to bile. The bile goes everywhere. There is no escaping the bile. So Janelle says, I saw milk being recommended as a part of a healthy diet on your Facebook page. Are your clients eventually able to tolerate milk? Okay, so let me just say this. There was 2 posts that were put on my social media during a 1-month stint where I had a social media manager. And in one post, in the 2 posts, they pretty much, I wasn't checking their posts before they put them because I had given them 500 plus posts of mine on that research forum, which I just linked earlier. And I said, here's what you can make my social media posts out of. And what did they do? They made posts about eating liver is healthy. And then they made another post about like eating dark chocolate is healthy and eating garlic is healthy and doing also, like it was like exactly the opposite of what I say. Needless to say, that relationship ended. So word to the wise, hiring social media managers, you need to check every single post they're going to put up, because they can screw up your message bad. So milk, I would say that of all the things that I think helps people the most, in terms of, vitamin A toxicity, vitamin D toxicity, excess calcium in the system, knowing that the Rockefellers sponsored all the early research on dairy. That's what led to people being told to eat too much calcium, take too much vitamin A, and take vitamin D in food. Eating milk would be the exact opposite of what I would suggest. Drinking milk, dairy products in general. Now, can people do it on occasion? Depending upon their health, state of health, and how strongly they react, they might be able to do it on occasion, but that's like more advanced. The sicker people are, the more they do it, the longer they're going to stay sick. So no, that was a mistake. If you saw anything from on my social media about dairy, it was during the month of mistakes that my social media manager did. Haven't done that again since. Apocalypse says, I have heard that charcoal is mildly carcinogenic. Is it still safe to consume? That is some garbage that was regurgitated by that Superfoodly website. There's no real research of this. Charcoal has been used so much. I know so many people in Europe who just say, oh, well, why? Well, when I grew up, we just took charcoal. If you had a stomach ache or whatever, you just took charcoal and it made it go away. You have to, a mainstream alternative is disinformation. So what are they going to push? The study where people go, oh, but charcoal might absorb your nutrients. Do you know that study is one study done on apple juice? They added charcoal to apple juice, and they saw what happened to the apple juice. That's what the entire narrative of charcoal could absorb your nutrients is from. I don't see any problem with charcoal in the way that they state. But let me warn you people out there, along the lines of this is not a game. If you are constipated and you take charcoal, you're going to be in for a world of hurt. Because as I go over in the program, in my soluble fiber video update, I talk about charcoal too. Bile is part of your normal pooping mechanism. Charcoal soaks up bile at an amazing rate. Why would the mainstream alternative and mainstream conventional want to downplay or speak badly of charcoal? I don't know. You can't find any evidence of charcoal ever ruining anybody's nutrition. There's no such thing. Now, there are people who took way too much charcoal, way, like they were taking spoonfuls and spoonfuls and spoonfuls through the day, and they gave themselves a blocked colon. What did I just tell you about? If you're constipated and you take charcoal, you're going to get more constipated. You may already know this. So what do you think about people taking spoonfuls and spoonfuls and spoonfuls and spoonfuls happened? This is not a game. So am I concerned about charcoal at all? No. Except for constipated people. The houses we live in ask, thank you for all of this important information. After soaking oats overnight, do we need to rinse off the soaking water before cooking? I'm assuming you're talking about whole oat groats, like steel cut oats, that kind of stuff. Okay, so here's an interesting thing about oats. I would pour off the soaking water, but it depends on how thick. Okay. One of the things about the soluble fiber that is in oats and barley is there's a lot of beta glucan, and those, I always get it messed up. High viscosity is thick stuff, right? I always get the low and high viscosity messed up in my head. I always forget that, but high viscosity is thick, I believe. The higher the viscosity of soluble fiber, the thicker it is. So even if I'm saying the higher, what I mean is the thicker it is, the more gel-like a fiber is, the more it absorbs bile in your gut, and the more it absorbs vitamin A. What happens with oats? You cook them and you let them sit. What do? They just turn into a mass, right? They just glob together because that's the soluble fiber that came out that is now making that glob. What happens with refried beans? You mash up beans, you cook them, cook them and then you mash them up, and then what happens when you put them in the fridge or let them cool? They turn into a big glob. Beans have a lot of soluble fiber in them. okay? So if you were soaking oats, if you still had fairly low viscosity or thin water after you were done, I'd probably pour it off. I don't eat groats much. I don't have time to cook oats. And here's the other thing that we have learned over time. Cooking oats, so oats and barley do contain lutein, which is a non-vitamin A carotenoid, non-pro-vitamin A carotenoid. It's yellow. So when people say they're looking at like a food that's yellow, like, oh, I don't know, amaranth, and it's yellow, and they go, but the computer says it has 0 vitamin A in it. So then what made it yellow? Well, when they do the vitamin A calculations, again, for you people out there wandering around the internet trying to find free info, you're not going to find this. They measure the vitamin A content, the actual retinol and retinol esters, like retinol palmitate. So for those of you who think retinol palmitate is a synthetic form of vitamin A, no, it's the main form of vitamin A in cod liver oil. It's the main form of vitamin A in beef liver. It's the main form of vitamin A that you find in animal products are retinol esters, including retinol palmitate. Provitamin A carotenoids, beta carotene is the most common one, are counted as vitamin A units because of a conversion factor. I don't have time to go into all that mess. I went into that on my inner circle last week about the vitamin A counts in foods. Lutein is yellow. It does activate the retinoic acid receptors. It does cause vitamin A effects, which are not good. But lutein doesn't get counted as a pro-vitamin A carotenoid. So you could have all the lutein in the world in something, and the vitamin A says 0. Amaranth would be a prime example. Do oats and barley contain lutein? That's where I was getting to with this. Oats and barley do contain lutein. Cooking them releases the lutein into the water. So let me tell you, how do we know this? Where's that in the science, Dr. Smith? We have it with people who can eat what I prefer if I'm going to eat oats is I make what's called overnight oats, which is basically you're either getting organic. It's really, really important to get organic oats. They spray the crap out of non-organic oats. Or the only oats you should eat is organic. So if you're buying oat milk that's not organic, not going to make it. Don't do that. And then you're buying it in an aluminum lined container. I found a paper the other day. So for all of you, those of you who want to know what aluminum does, and people will say, oh, aluminum is connected to Alzheimer's and other stuff like that. So here we have the paper, parenteral aluminum induces liver injury in a newborn piglet model. So aluminum is connected to liver injury, and aluminum is connected to Alzheimer's. Oh, hey, did you know that manganese is connected to Parkinson's? And manganese causes cholestasis in the literature. Your liver runs everything about your health. It may be indirect, but your liver is, not to say Liver King, the guy who's selling all the organ meats and poisoning people. You want to have fun? Go to the Ancestral Supplements Amazon page. The Liver King's supplement page on Amazon. Go read the 1-star reviews of people who almost died eating organ meats. Have fun with that one. Maybe the 2 stars too. Go read those. This is not a game. I'm working on my organ meats presentation because the research on organ meats, somebody please go just to try to prove me wrong, go and find studies on eating liver as being wonderful for you and eating organ meats as being wonderful for you. I think when I was doing all my research, which if you haven't noticed, I'm pretty good at research, I found 1 study suggesting that organ meats were good for you. And I found tons of other studies showing specific diseases like bladder cancer going up as people ate more organ meats. Oh, you mean men in Spain who ate more organ meats had lower sperm motility. Their sperm didn't move around as good as well. It's bad. It's really bad. There was one paper where the more liver people ate, the fatter they were and the more headaches they had, like migraines. I don't make this stuff up. If I say something here, you can pretty much be sure that I have research on it. But what we saw with the oats is that when you're cooking oats, releases the lutein more into the water. There is no such thing as a vitamin A food, vitamin A free food. There is no such thing as a vitamin A free food. At least not anything that you want to eat on a long-term regular basis. If you're going to say, oh, but meat says, the muscle meat says it has 0 vitamin A. That's not true. I don't know why they're still saying that. In the literature, you can go find reindeer meat, wild reindeer meat that has vitamin A in every single tissue they tested, including the muscle meat. Get the idea out of your head that you could actually like live on a 0 vitamin A diet. Researchers have said in the past that to make a vitamin A free diet, you would be so deficient in very important things that you do need that you would get sick and die. So we have to be smart and say we're trying to minimize it because we can't eliminate it. And eliminating it is so much more work than the benefit that you would gain. You simply have to reduce the amount of vitamin A to such an extent that you're able to get rid of more of it in a day than you take in. It's just math. So I'm gonna have to get going here pretty soon. So I would personally, I used to eat, oh my gosh, when I used to cook oats, when I would cook oats, I would crash so hard after it. And I would get so hungry. I was sitting there going, I just ate like, I don't remember how much I ate, like a cup or two of dry oats that was cooked. So I should be full for a long time. I would get so hungry and I would crash so hard and I felt so awful. I used to do things, for those of you, who don't understand how I got here, I used to do stupid things like mix a can of sweet potato, or I'm sorry, a can of pumpkin during the holiday months. I would take a can of pumpkin and mix it into my oats because I thought it would be good for me. I've done all this stupid stuff. That's how I got here. I used to make raw liver and blueberry smoothies. I did the whole paleo sweet potato thing for a long time. I got here because of the same reasons you're here. So, let me remember so I would suggest in my opinion, the best way to do oats is to get organic rolled oats. My favorite brand is Coach's Oats, which I think you can still find at Costco. So you get rolled oats and you soak them in water, not hot water, room temperature water, or even cold water if you want it. Let them sit for 30 minutes, and then they're softened up and you can eat them. That is the way that people in the detox network have said that they feel best eating them. And I can tell you that when I eat them that way, I don't have a crash and I don't get as hungry as I used to. So. Imperfect Daisy asks, what is the role of ionic/colloidal silver in your current understanding of, I like the quotes, viruses and detox? Silver is an oxidizer. Gosh, it seems to help so many things for so many people. The issue with silver for long-term use. Silver accumulates in the system. No one argues this. I have not seen a detox mechanism elucidated or shown by anyone for getting silver out of us. So I'm working on some different oxidative mechanisms that don't accumulate in the body. Do I think silver is great? I mean, I crushed valley fever, a fungal lung infection that kills animals and people. My ex-wife's childhood gymnastics coach died from valley fever. It's a spore that gets into your lungs and then starts growing into a fungus in your lungs and gives you a chronic cough and chronic fatigue. And they put dogs on antifungals for the rest of their lives once they get valley fever. Humans get those antifungals for at least a year, generally. I crushed valley fever in 2 days by nebulizing colloidal silver and drinking a lot of colloidal silver. 2 days, I basically crushed it. So do I like silver? Yeah, I love silver. Am I going to use it on a daily basis? No, I'm going to use it when I need the big guns to come out. That's it. But what does silver do in the current understanding of viruses, as I said it earlier? It oxidizes things. It breaks down the poisons that are likely the cause of the problems. There's a saying that I caught on, I think it was on Twitter, which was, we don't have an immune system, we have a detox system. Now, I'll go with that about 90%. Because I mean, it's hard to say we don't have an immune system and then believe that the gut biome is an important thing. So just know, you anti-germ theory people, like they'll say, oh, well, no. Some of them are just like, I just don't believe in viruses. But bacteria are real. And then I'm going, well, wait, isn't that a germ? Isn't that a germ theory? Do bacteria exist or not? Then they've got to argue that. And then you go, okay, so parasites, wouldn't that be germ theory too? Isn't that something that's coming into us and attacking us and affecting our health? And I just say, at what point does the size, at what point, what arbitrary point do we say that it's not germ theory anymore? Do we think that governments couldn't create pathogenic bacteria? I mean, why does MRSA happen in gyms so much? So just be careful of throwing the whole idea of so the elite, they love to pit two sides against each other, right? Republican, Democrat, vegan and carnivores. Eat high fat. Eat very low fat. They need to put you in two camps, make you pick, because it's easier for people to avoid having to think that way. Like, it's easier to just go, I'm only going to eat plant foods. Or the other side goes, I'm only going to eat animal foods. There's not, this can just turn off. But what if we go, oh, we're designed to eat both plant and animal foods? And then people go, oh, I don't know what to do now. Right? So, terrain theory, germ theory. Do you think maybe the answer's somewhere in the middle? That's probably where the answer is. But that requires a lot of thinking. Those of you who are here are interested in thinking. You understand that we've been misled. My job, what I consider my job, is to figure out where the truth is, because it is out there. If you didn't know, the bad guys have to tell us that the truth has to be out there. The bad guys believe that if they let the truth out, like the foreshadowing you might have seen in The Simpsons, if they tell you what's coming and you don't do anything to stop it, their magic is more powerful. So they tell you, it's out there in the research. They're not hiding the truth in the research. It's there. You just have to know how to find it, and you have to know how to separate it out from all the other BS. The BS signal is very strong. Joe Rogan's gonna save us. Joe Rogan is evil. Maybe Joe Rogan is misdirecting. He does get paid $100 million. Somebody was posting today about how Blackstone or BlackRock, I forget which one, owns Pfizer, and then you know how much of the Spotify stock they also own? Like the same people own all of it. They own the universities that are putting out this crap research. What you're going to start seeing in the literature is they're going to start trying to say that bile acids in the blood are good and necessary, and that they help prevent certain diseases. I swear, I've already seen it. They gaslight everyone. The truth is still out there. That's what I present in these research studies over and over here, and in my Love Your Liver network. And on the research forum. There's 534 posts on that research forum that I linked here. Go there and search for whatever topic you want. Realize it's about 2 years old at this point. 2 years of advancements for me is huge. But yeah, oxidation, proper oxidation in the human body is how we get rid of bad stuff. That's where silver can fit into this. Lindy asks, hi, is iodine okay to use for mole removal, or do you know of a better way? Some people have said certain types of spots have removed as they've been doing this work. If it's a big mole, honestly, I'd probably just go. I mean, it's very natural in the natural world for things to be cut off or torn off, if you will. I personally, with some of my moles back before I did all this, I would just go and have it cut out, honestly. I don't have time to wait for that. But, you know, I would try to do it in as non-toxic a way as possible. But if you want to try iodine, yeah. Iodine might be forcing other things out of the area. But iodine stuff. I learned about iodine for toenail fungus. And I had several people try it, and I don't think it worked on any of them. Maybe one person. So I got very disappointed in topical iodine. Is Free Michigan asks, is tefa grain that you recommend? You'd want to look at the food lists in the Love Your Liver network. I can't remember every single food. Yeah, that's there. Last question. Free Michigan asks, are egg whites okay to eat? I know the yolk is too high in cholesterol, but what about the whites? The whites are very high in sulfur. Egg white protein is well known for giving people extremely nasty smelling rotten egg farts. That's the sulfur you smell. Sulfur compounds in general slow down ALDH, which is a key enzyme in vitamin A detox, and it also depletes B1. This is in the literature. I'm not making this up. Sulfur is also in the Bible, the smell of hell and the devil himself. So I tend to think that sulfur is probably not something we want to eat a whole lot of. Now, the egg yolks are the big problem. Egg yolks. So eating cholesterol, for those of you who think that eating cholesterol is good for you, I'm going to tell you that there's tons of research out there. I don't care about whether people's cholesterol went up or not. That's a distraction. Cholesterol is heavily stored in fatty liver. Heavily stored in fatty liver. Egg yolks are full of lutein and vitamin A and cholesterol and lots of choline. Oh, did you know that your body needs choline to store vitamin A in the liver? So it's got vitamin A, it's got the choline to store it in the liver, it's got a non-vitamin A carotenoid, which doesn't show up on the vitamin A components. It's got sulfur in the egg white. It's got lots of cholesterol. I posted the studies a couple weeks ago maybe a month ago about I think it was consuming more than 2 eggs or more a week in multiple studies has been linked to a greatly increased risk of fatty liver. Gosh, what do we store in fatty liver? How do we make fatty liver? You need choline. Emulsify the fat. Emulsify the fat so you can store it. That's really what you're doing. So we have the thing to emulsify it. We have the vitamin A, we have the lutein, we have the cholesterol. Oh, and then we put in some sulfur from the egg whites to slow down the detox pathway. Yeah, that's generally bad. I will say that if I was going to go out to breakfast and I was going to eat something egg related, I would leave out the yolks. I would just get egg whites, scrambled egg whites, if I was going to do that. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. It's not always all or nothing, but egg yolks. And then you have people on the internet going, look at my bright orangish, almost reddish egg yolks. These are so healthy. And I go, oh. And they're always the people who are constantly trying to regain their health. NGMI, as they say, not going to make it. So I got to go. I'm going to do my inner circle now. Next week, we should have hopefully the super chats up. So you guys, if you guys want to get your questions to the top, and make sure they get answered, because I know I don't get through that many questions because I go through them in detail like I do. Anyway, super chats will be available next week. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm going to go do the inner circle now with, it is Grant. It's a Grant Genereux week. So for those of you who don't know, Grant Genereux, I'll put his blog right here. He is the guy who first started writing his free ebooks about vitamin A toxicity and how he fixed his really bad, he had super bad jaundice. He doesn't go over all of these things in his books, but he had super bad jaundice. He had super bad eczema. He had chronic kidney disease where the doctor was basically saying there's nothing else we can do for you. Jaundice, liver problem, chronic kidney disease, kidney problem, eczema, skin problem. Oh, gosh. First level of detox, second level of detox, third level of detox. You know what his doctor told him? He's like, just go home and there's nothing I can do for you. Which is the doctor saying, you're pretty much going to die and we don't have any tools for you. Why does liver disease medicine, like hepatology, why is it such a dark area of medicine? Because what does medicine do to help things? They give drugs. What's your liver going to do with more drugs? It's just going to break. I think the most depressing thing I think of that could ever happen in modern medicine would be to be a hepatologist. And you're just getting people at the end because their livers are toast. And when your liver's toast, you're toast. And what are they going to do? I mean, what if they get somebody in there who has liver problems and they're just like, you need to stop drinking. And the person looks at them and they're like, I don't drink, ass. You know, they're like, I'm not doing any of these things that you're saying are ruining my liver. Why is my liver shot? Maybe you have a health nut going in there. Maybe they were a Weston Pricer. Maybe they were a Ray Peter. Maybe they were a nose-to-tail carnivore. Maybe they were a vegan. And they can't understand why their liver is shot. I mean, the only other thing that would be more depressing would be a gastroenterologist who spends all day telling people that their diet doesn't affect their gut condition at all. Think about that life. No, it's your gut, but what you eat doesn't affect it at all. It has nothing to do with what you eat. I mean, you guys have seen this. I'm sure some of you have directly experienced it. And you're trying to tell the doctor, like, yeah, when I eat this, my gut just goes bonkers in whatever way. Whether you get super constipated or you get super loose bowels. Do you know, here's a fun thing for you folks who are sensitive to gluten or celiac. Do you know there's research out there showing that celiac people dumped more bile when they ate gluten than the control people? Celiac, when they eat gluten, they get problems in their gut lining. Where does the bile go again? Oh, it goes into your gut, and they get symptoms other places. Oh, the bile also goes into your blood. Oh, and normal people without celiac don't have that reaction. They don't know what caused it. And I'm not going to say I know what caused it, but I do know what is causing the problem. It's the toxic bile. And then some people can seem to get better from celiac just by avoiding glyphosate. So what does that mean glyphosate causes? Oh, toxic bile and cholestasis. That's Roundup if you didn't know. So anyway, I got to go to my inner circle. For those of you who want more from the Love Your Liver program, that is at nutritiondetective.com. I posted the research forum here today if you want to go look there. That is outdated, but it's still good info. And hope I'll see you all here next week. Have a great weekend. Bye now.